So let's start talking about the content on your site and how to make that SEO friendly. I'm on my add-ons homepage here, and I've kept this page intentionally simple and not added too much content to it so that we can go through bit by bit and add some more SEO friendly content together. But before we start doing that, let's just talk about what SEO friendly content actually is. So what we mean by SEO friendly content is that when a search engine bot comes and indexes your site or your page, they are able to understand all of the content in a text readable format. So for example, when we are adding things like images or videos or any other visual content or visual styling to the page, that is still understandable by the search engine bot. And that is because obviously the search engine bots can't index or understand an image fully without some additional metadata to describe it. Now your content is obviously crucial. It's more important than anything else that we've already discussed in this course. If you haven't got good SEO friendly content, it doesn't matter how good your browser titles or your URLs or your meta tags or anything like that are, because if the content on the page is no good, your site won't be ranked on search engine results pages. Okay, with that being said, let's preview our site inside of Safari and start looking or thinking about how we can improve this. Now with the styling applied, we can see quite clearly that we have an add-ons list on the left hand side here, and we have a latest releases list on the right hand side. Now that's an okay start, but what it doesn't do is really describe what the content on this page is. There's no heading to the page that says this is RapidWeaver add-ons. There's no helpful descriptive text to say what this page is all about. There aren't many links to find other types of add-ons or to explore the site any further, apart from obviously the menu along the top. Now to help you understand how search engines are going to index our page, we're going to use a Safari developer feature. So ensure that you have the develop menu enabled inside of Safari. To do this, open the preferences, go to the advanced tab, and ensure show develop menu in menu bar is enabled. Once you've done that, you'll be able to go to the develop menu here, and what I want you to do is disable the styles for your page. This will give you a better representation of how a search engine bot will be indexing or viewing your site. So as you can see here, we've got our site logo, we've got our navigation for the site, then we've got our add-ons title, which is rather small, then we have our list of popular add-ons here, and then we get down to the latest releases. Again, a very small title. Then we have our releases there, and then we have our footer content at the bottom. So as I say, the current content on the site doesn't really describe what we've got on here, and it doesn't help the search engine bots understand the content or understand what we're trying to be found for. As I say, there's no header at the top of the page to describe the content, and each one of the headings, so the add-ons and latest releases, don't fully describe what the content actually is. Another key thing to note is that the add-ons title and the latest releases title were both smaller than the sub-content inside of there. So ideally, you should be using a hierarchy for your content. At the top of the page, you should have an H1 that describes the content on the page. Then you should divide the content up into subsections using an H2 tag, and then anything below there can use an H3 tag, and if you need to use a fourth level to separate your content, you can use an H4 tag. Now search engines will put most weight on the content inside of an H1 tag, then the H2 and H3. Anything below that is generally considered to not give you any SEO gains. Now the reason the add-ons title here is so small is because I'm currently using an H6 tag, and that was because if we enable the styles again, I wanted the title to be this size. I didn't want it as large as an H1 or an H2 tag, and this is a common mistake that I see with RapidWeaver users. They will decrease the heading level so that the text content is the correct size when the styles are applied. However, that doesn't help you when the search engine bots come and index your site. Really, this should be an H2 tag, and so should the latest releases. Above here we should have a banner area that has an H1 tag and a paragraph with some descriptive text. So let's hop back over to RapidWeaver and start doing that. I'm going to go to edit mode. Now here I have an add-ons list which I've created as a partial. So if you want to follow along with this video, the project file that I'm using here is included in the assets for this course. You will need to have Stacks, Foundry and Total CMS installed to fully follow along here. So with that being said, let's go into our add-ons list. So we'll double click there. And the first thing I want to do is update this add-ons header here. So I'll go to the stack setting, and as you can see, I'm currently using an H6, and that was because I wanted a small heading size. What this should really be is an H2. Then any headings inside or underneath that add-ons heading should be an H3. Now I'm using the Foundry cards, so if we click on the card title here, you can see that you can choose the tag, and that has been selected as an H3. So if we go back to Safari and refresh our preview, you'll see that the add-ons has now been updated, but I feel that the text size here is too large. So we've got a couple of ways to fix this. Firstly, let's go to RapidWeaver. We'll go to the header, and we can just use some custom font sizes. So if we wanted this to be 18 pixels across mobile, tablet and desktop, we could do so like that. Then when we refresh, you'll see that the text size has been updated. The other way to do this, if you're using Foundry or Foundation, works in the same way, is you can go back to the Foundry base styles here, and you can update the header sizes inside of the settings area here. We'll just do this as a custom font size for now, just to make it easier. So we'll go back into the add-ons list, and then we'll apply the same treatment to the latest releases heading as well. So we'll select an H2, and we'll use custom font sizes of 18 pixels, like so. So let's go back and refresh, and there you can see they've been updated. So we now, with the styles applied, we now look the same. However, if we disable the styles, we're now starting to build up more of a hierarchy to our content and making it more SEO friendly. So you can see here, we can now see our add-ons title, and then inside of there we have our subheadings. So these are H3. So each add-on title is an H3, which is below the H2 title of add-ons. And that is the same for the latest releases. We can now see that latest releases tag there. And then inside of here, we're currently using a smaller heading for each one of these latest releases. Now, so we might want to go back to RapidWeaver and update that. So you can see here the heading is using an H6. So we might want to say H3. So I'll go ahead and update all of those now. Okay, next, if we come out of the add-ons list and go back to our main add-ons page, as I mentioned, what we want to do is add a banner above the add-ons list here so that we describe the page content. Now we've already done that on the home page. So if we go to the home page, there you can see that we've got that H1 title at the top of the page and the accompanying description below. So what I'm going to do is go to our home page here and copy this banner into the add-ons page. Then we'll update the header. So just for now, we will say RapidWeaver add-ons, and we'll leave the paragraph text as is. Let's ensure that we're using an H1. So yeah, a page title. And let's go back to our add-ons page and refresh. Okay, so here we can see we've got our banner area with the title and the description, and then we have our subtitle, so the H2 for these add-ons. Inside of there we have the H3, Then when we get to another subsection, the latest releases, we have an H2 tag, and then underneath there we have an H3 tag. We have an H3 tag for each add-on. So as I say, I'm trying to draw this in. What we're doing here is building up a hierarchy of our content. We want to describe the content at the top of the page with an H1 tag. Then we want to provide some more descriptive text about what's going on here inside of a paragraph. Then when we get to a subsection of each page, so for example, the add-ons, we're using an H2 tag to describe that section. Any content under there that requires a heading should be using an H3 tag. Now let's re-enable our styles to see how our site actually looks to visitors. And there we can see we've got that nice big banner area. Then we're dividing up the content with these subheadings. Now I can't tell you exactly how to do this for your site. It is going to depend on the content for each individual page. We're going to be updating all of the pages on our site as we go through the remainder of this course. So you will pick up further tips on how to improve your site's HTML and general page layouts. But for now, this page is looking pretty good. Let's move on to an add-on detail page. So again, here you can see we've got the Foundry detail page with the title and description and more information about it here. Let's go and disable the styles so that we can see how the search engines will be indexing this. And this is already a lot better than the add-ons homepage was by default. We have our site logo, the menu, then we have the add-on icon, we have the title for the add-on, and we have a description about the add-on here. So as I say, this is already a lot better. We're starting the page off in the right way. We've got the important content at the top of the page and we're using the correct tags. I do believe this is an H1, but we can double check that. I'll inspect the element. And note, this is actually using an H2. So we want to go into RapidWeaver and update that. So let's do that now before we go any further. We'll go to the heading here and we'll make it a page title. Let's go back and refresh. And now we're using an H1, like so. Now again, depending on the content of your page, you might want to add some additional keywords into here. So right now this just says Foundry. We might want to update this and perhaps include some other keywords. For example, for this page, we would be trying to target stacks, add-ons, and RapidWeaver alongside Foundry. But because the other metadata around this content on this page is going to have those keywords in, I haven't done that on the site. I've just used the add-on title. As I say, because the other content will have the keywords, and quite simply because it doesn't make sense to try and stuff the keywords into the title here. We want to make this feel natural. We don't want to add the keywords unnecessarily just because we feel like we need those keywords in the content. You only want to add them when it makes logical sense for the content. If I were to put Foundry RapidWeaver Stack as the title here, people might be confused, and it's not the actual title for the add-on. The add-on title is simply Foundry, so I don't want to keyword stuff just for the sake of it. As I say, the other content on the page will help give weight to those keywords. So for example, the description here has already got RapidWeaver in. So that's one of our keywords inside of the page's content. So if we continue by scrolling down the page, you can see we've got the images on the page. We'll have a look at those in a second. But then we have the add-on description here and then a Buy Now button. So how might we improve this? Well, on the previous page, we talked about how we can divide the content up into subsections. So we might want to add a subheading in above the description here. So to do that, we'd go back to RapidWeaver and then we'd find the paragraph here. And all I'd simply do is open up my library and find a header in the Foundry stacks. Drop that in above the paragraph. Then we'd want to add a descriptive header here. So we might want to say more information or more about Foundry, like so. And as I say, that would want to be an H2 because this is the first subsection of the page. So let's go back and refresh. There you can see that's added, and that's starting to divide the content up into logical sections. And this is not only to help search engine bots index our content more meaningfully, but also to provide some additional keywords to our content. So what I might want to do, rather than saying more about Foundry, we might want to say something like, Foundry is a rapid weaver stack. Find out more below. Something like that. Now that might be a bit wordy, so let's refresh and have a look. But what we are doing is describing what's going to happen in the content below here. And what we've also done is got a couple more of those keywords into our content. So Foundry would be a keyword for this page, rapid weaver, and stack is also one of our chosen keywords. Now there's more to cover with SEO friendly content, so we'll wrap up this video. However, in the next video, we will start talking about how we can improve the images on our site and look at how we can update things like links to include some of the keywords that we want to be found for.